Go to the middle here.
Paolo, Mike DeCourcy from Sporting News. I know that AAU and those sorts of things, all-star games and all that, were sort of curbed when you were coming through as a result of COVID. Have you ever had the chance to compete with Chet Holmgren? Did you guys ever play against one another or with one another?
Yeah, we went to some of the same camps in high school, and then we actually got to play against each other at the Iverson Classic last May.
Can you give me your impressions of what it was like to go against them?
Yeah, Chet's a great player. Me and him are cool. We talk here and there. I mean, yeah, he's always a challenge to play against. It's always fun.
Question to the left here.
Hey guys, Mason Hordisky with KMAC in Lubbock, Texas. Kind of for all three of you, one of the talking points heading into this game is the average age of the starting five, yours being 19, Texas Tech's being 22. How do you guys feel like you match up against some of those guys who have a little bit more miles under their legs in college basketball?
You know, for us, it's an opportunity for us. Obviously, you know, those guys have played a lot of college basketball, and even though we're younger, I feel like we also have experience. You know, played Michigan State just last game, high-level game. We played a number of those games with a lot of you know, high stakes, high intensity, and you know, I think, you know, with us we are younger, but at the same time, you know, we're a really together group. You know, we know what it takes to win, and you know, we're willing to do that.
Question from David on the left.
David Thompson, USA Today Network. This question's for Wendell. You talked a little bit about your free throw routine against Michigan State, the way you close your eyes, deep breaths, that kind of thing. I was curious, though, when did you develop that? Was that something in high school or during college, and did anyone kind of help you with that?
I mean, it's been something that I've kind of been developing for a while. I mean, my routine's always been to take a deep breath in between. I mean, but now I've just kind of started closing my eyes before, just because I just really helps it feel like I just center myself, and I mean, it can only be me in the room. So I feel like that kind of gives me an advantage in like hostile atmospheres, things like that. And I mean, it's been working out, so I'm just gonna keep it going. I mean, I'll probably say like before the game and stuff like that, I do like something close to it. But just really anytime I do that, it's kind of just to center myself back into focus. Like I'm big on meditation. I mean, it's just a way for me to kind of practice it.
We'll go to the middle next.
Thanks. Steve Wiseman from the News and Observer. Paulo, Texas Tech's defense, they're known for that this year. As you watch film and scout them, what aspects of that jumps out to you as being particularly strong, and does it remind you of anybody you've played this year, and how do you plan to, what do you need to do to attack it successfully?
Yeah, they're a great defensive team, really physical, really active. You know, they swarm the ball. You know, there's 2-3 guys, you know, at the ball as soon as you get in the paint. So really not just trying to go one-on-one and isolate. You know, there's not going to be a lot of opportunities for that, really, with the way they play. So it's really just going to come down to moving the ball, you know, playing together and taking quality shots as a team.
Next question to the right.
This question's for Mark, WREL in Raleigh. Mark, after the game on Sunday, Coach K mentioned just your improvement on defense and lateral movements. I'm just wondering what it's been. It's obviously translated into a lot of blocks here down the stretch. I'm wondering kind of where that, you know, who you were working with and kind of when that, you know, maybe change or improvement came throughout the season.
I'd probably say like in the off season, you know, we did a lot of, you know, lateral movement work. Just at Duke, I mean, the entire team, I think, improved a lot on the defensive end, like moving, guarding. Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing. And I think we're seeing it now. Obviously, you know, we're in the thick of things in March Madness. This is like really where you got to guard your yard, stuff like that. So probably that's my answer to that.
Over to the left. Next question.
This question is for Wendell. Luke DeCock from the News and Observer. Also about Texas Tech's defense. You guys had so much success at the end of the Michigan State game, really just driving and taking it down the middle against them, but Texas Tech set up to keep you from doing that. What adjustments do you guys have to make, or have you talked about with sort of their approach?
I think really the main thing, just being strong with the ball. Like Paulo said, they're a very physical team. They kind of force you into the paint where they have 3-4 guys waiting on you. So I think if we're strong with the ball, play off 2 feet, and really just play together. We're going to have to make a lot of connecting plays. This can really be a game where we have a lot of assists, a lot of made shots. So really, we all have to just be shot ready. Because they leave people open sometimes, like around the perimeter, around the 3. So we're ready to shoot, knock down some shots. I think we'll be in a good spot.
Question from Dana in the back.
Dana O'Neill with The Athletic. Wendell, wearing a Duke jersey itself comes with added pressure and scrutiny, I know, but as the circus sort of rolls downhill towards Coach's eventual last game, has it felt different? And how do you guys, I know you are insulated from it at some level, but how? How do you actually kind of avoid and ignore it?
The main thing we do, we really just stick together. Through all the ups and downs, the crazy media posts, the shame and the praise. We all just kind of do it together. Because we know that we're not going to be able to do any of it without each other. That includes Coach. So the 14 guys on our team, the 5 coaches on our staff, and everybody else that's in our community and our family. We kind of just keep it a tight-knit circle, so we don't get too high on things. We don't get too low on things. I think we do a good job using each other to help us stay in that balance.
Question to the left.
Mike Tober from Spectrum News 1. This one's for Paulo. You mentioned last week how you were excited to get back over here and that you would have some support. I was wondering, what kind of support do you have for tomorrow as far as maybe friends or family being here, and what does it mean for you to be able to play back on the West Coast, especially on this stage?
It's a great feeling. As soon as the bracket first came out, saw San Francisco's location, immediately got excited. I got a lot of family out here. Immediate family. I got distant family. I got friends. Just a lot of people. So the support's going to be strong, and I'm glad to be able to play, like you said, on this stage. Just because, it's not every day that anybody gets to experience a Sweet 16 game. So for it to be, close to home, relatively close to home, is good. Especially, playing at Duke. It's only the second game we've played on the West Coast. So, it's a good opportunity for my family who haven't been able to see me to come see me.
Question up front in the middle.
This question's for Wendell. In Greenville, you guys were talking about how Coach mentioned it too. The last 5 minutes were all heart. How would you describe how a team gets to that point where it's just heart that's willing you to win the game, and have you seen that in past Duke teams you've been on here?
I think the main way we kind of fought through was really just through trial and tribulations. There's a couple other games, a couple of other games early in the season. We're kind of in the same situation. We're up or we're down late in the game. We either have a chance to fold or we have a chance to kind of come together and say we're going to do this. So going down 5 with 5 minutes left, just looking at everybody's face on the bench, nobody had a losing face. Everybody's face was strong. Everybody's face was like, come on, let's go, let's do this. We only have 5 minutes. We only have 5 minutes of basketball left in our guaranteed career this season. So with this team, we didn't. Honestly, we just didn't want our journey to end early. This team loves each other so much. We just wanted to keep playing. And so we found a way. We dug deep, and everybody who was on the court helped out. Ultimately we found a way.
Question on the left.
This question is for Mark. In speaking to the Texas Tech players, they said that, in asking about their underdog mentality, they said they didn't have any top recruits, no 5 stars that came into their program. But Duke right now is a 1-point underdog, which is not often the case. How do you guys approach this game kind of maybe in an underdog role, or how do you approach it?
I mean, for us to know that we're the underdog, I mean, sort of speaks to itself for us. Obviously, you have to have that mindset knowing, you know, we're not favored to win the game. And as far as Texas Tech is concerned, obviously, you know, they're a great team. I mean, even though they don't have those five-star guys, they're still obviously a great team. They're in the Sweet 16, so obviously they're one of the best teams out. But we're also one of the best teams out as well. So I mean, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a tough game, and we just have to be prepared for it and prepare ourselves mentally and physically.
Another question on the left.
Hey guys, Claire Hanna with TSN. This is kind of to piggyback on Dana's question about insulating yourself from the noise around Coach K, but I'm curious, just knowing these are going to be his last few games, does that give you a little extra motivation and juice when you step on the court?
I mean, yeah, definitely. All season we've been dealing with it. You know, it's coach's last something every game. So it's just I mean, that's not all we're motivated by, obviously. Like, we come out and we know it could be our last game as a group. And obviously, coach's last game, this is last year. He's coaching, so we want to send him out the right way, obviously. You know, that's been the motivation since the beginning, was to send him out on top. But I wouldn't say it's something that we talk about before every game. That's just kind of a given, like we know that. So we just come in every game focused.
We'll go to the back with a question, then we'll go to a question on Zoom.
Hey, Mark and Wendell. Brendan Marks from The Athletic. Question for both of you guys. Texas Tech's players, I mean, obviously their defense is what it is. They were talking about how they like to use their length defensively to make a difference. You guys obviously can do sort of the same thing. We talk a lot about their defense, but for you guys, what's the key to sort of shutting down their offense and making it tough for them to get the looks they want?
Really just playing together on the defensive end. I mean, for us, there are two main scorers that I'm at their 4 or 5 position, so we're really keying on them. And also their perimeter is really good too. Their perimeter loves to get downhill. They love to just find open guys for shots. But most of their offense comes from their defense a lot too, so we do a good job not turning the ball over, not giving them easy runouts in transition. Really just playing like us. I mean, if we feel like we play like us on both offense and defense, it's going to be a great game.
Go over to Christopher on Zoom. Christopher? All right, we'll let him get set. Any questions from the room? Question up front here.
Mark, Ty Richardson, ESPN Arkansas. Durham's over 2,400 miles away from here. What's it like going clear across the country? I know Powell was just talking about second time playing on the West Coast. What's it like trying to get through jet lag and just all the physical conditions that you'll have to get through tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, we got here yesterday. You know, we flew out yesterday morning. You know, we got here, we practiced. So, I mean, sort of just getting accustomed to the time difference and all that, but it hasn't been too bad. Obviously, we got to sleep on the plane a little bit, tried to stay up to get accustomed to the time. But ultimately, I think we've done a pretty good job adjusting. The schedule's been pretty good, so.
Any final questions? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I know. All right, everybody, we'll get started with Coach. We'll start with an opening statement, and then we'll turn it over to the floor for questions.
Yeah, well, obviously, we're very excited to be here. Quick turnaround for us from Sunday night. We got out yesterday, and we were able to practice at San Francisco, and kept them up a little bit later, so we get accustomed to the time zone, and I think we're good. We're good. We're healthy. AJ will be fine. He'll be able to play, and ready to go. Ready to go. So I'll be happy to try to answer your questions.
Questions? Up here on the left.
Hi, Coach. Mason Hordisky with KMAC News back in Lubbock, Texas. When you look at Mark Adams, just not as a coach from an X's and O's standpoint, just kind of the cards that he was dealt at the beginning of the year with all the players leaving and Chris Beard leaving, how impressed, I guess, are you from a coaching standpoint that he was able to right the ship the way he did?
Well, he got new cards. He didn't just work with the cards that were dealt. He did a lot of work. He did a lot of work, and they probably have as many transfers as any program in the country, and established transfers, guys who, O'Banner, Williams, who have been outstanding players in their respective programs, and once he got them together to get them together to play at such a high level. We have one of the youngest teams, if not the youngest team I've coached, and you're trying to build habits. When you get transfers, older and especially established players, they're already pretty well set in the way they play, and so for him to be able to get all of them to be on the same page is a beautiful thing to watch, especially on the defensive end, where they've been committed and been probably the best defensive team in the country.
Question in the back.
Hey, Mike. Joseph Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. Mark Adams joked that when you had him on the podcast because you knew
It's not a podcast. We have a show
Okay.
on Sirius. I'm not one of those podcasts, which they're great, but we actually have in our 16th year on Sirius XM.
So you had him on the show, though, but he joked because you knew you'd be scouting him one day. I'm curious, did you get any scouting tips from that? And just what are your overall thoughts on just the journey he's actually taken as a coach to get to this first?
I'm very impressed with him and know of him and have known about him for a long time. We actually just passed each other and spent a couple minutes talking, and he said he asked me more questions than I asked him. And I said, yeah, and your answers, though, were a lot better than mine. And, he's... he has learned the game. Like a lot of us have plane stops that we've gone. He's learned it with bus stops. The different levels that he's been at, and a lot like the guy he worked for in Chris Beard. And I respect the heck out of that, because when you do that for as long and been as successful as he's been, you do it like we make a lot of money. When you're at the bus stops, you don't make a lot of money. You better love what you do. So it's obvious that that's what he's done, and he's taken it to a really high level.
We'll go up here in the middle with a question.
Mike DeCourcy from Sporting News. I wanted to ask you about AJ. When you said he'll be fine, are you talking about 100%? And then, as well as, I wanted if you could talk about those last 5 minutes or so without him, and how impressed you might have been with how the guys adjust to not having that threat on the perimeter.
Yeah, when I say 100, obviously he sprained his ankle, but he practiced yesterday, minimal soreness today, and we're getting ready to have a non-contact workout today. So, he'll be ready to go. The last 5 minutes were the most important 5 minutes of our season. Because Michigan State had played at such a high level and took the lead, and then during those 5 minutes, we played outstanding defense, but a number of different guys stepped up offensively to make, in their young careers, their biggest buckets. You know, whether it be Keels, whether it be even Powell on the drive, on the baseline, and definitely Jeremy's. So, you know, that's cool to be able to be with a young group where they have that moment and you share it with them.
To the left for our next question.
Hey, Mike, Rocco Miller with bracketshere.org. You're getting ready to take on the #1 defense by adjusted efficiency in the country, and your players just told us about how they swarmed at the ball, and I've noticed in film study how active they are with their hands, and of course the age difference a little bit. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you do maybe differently preparation-wise, or do you keep things kind of the same at this point of the year?
No, we prepare the same for every opponent, and there's just certain points of emphasis that you have for each opponent, offensively and defensively. And on offense, whomever we're playing, you try to come up with an offensive menu that might work against the defense you're going to face, whether it be Jim Boeheim's zone, Tony Bennett's pack line, how hard North Carolina plays in high contests and all that. So we'll try to put together a short menu of things that we've done before, but that will try to, try to score against them.
Next question to the right.
Billy Witz with the New York Times. Mike, what's it, a lot of times when coaches, even if they're lucky enough to make a retirement decision on their own, not have it made for them, they may be the only ones, or maybe a very small circle, who know that this will be the last season. What's it been like to have this be such a public thing for you, where everybody really knows?
Yeah, well, when I made the decision, along with my president, Vince Price, last spring, I told him I'd like to coach one more year, and if that was okay with him, but I wanted to announce it in the spring or early summer, because I didn't want to recruit in an unethical manner where you're telling a kid that he might play for you, then you're going to pull the plug. So, he agreed to that, and then they went through a selection process, and John, was a great decision on their part. And then I've just tried to jump in and do this season like I do any other season, without thinking about it's going to be my last one, or I didn't want to leave the program after COVID 13 and 11, and I love Duke, I love our program. I felt that continuity and how we might continue to have continuity was extremely important, and I think it's worked out great. Not good, it's worked out great. The public thing has not hurt me. It wears on you a little bit, because everywhere you walk, everyone's taking a picture of you, and they're watching everything, and like you say, look, that gets old. That gets old. But I feel for my guys. They've had pressure put on them that we're not putting on them. Like I tell them all the time, we're playing for us, for you. But then, it just works out. It's not a sinister plan against us or anything, but it just happens that way. So since the end of the regular season, and especially the start of the end, I think we're completely through with all that. And our guys, that's helped them get a little bit more refreshed also.
Question from Ron, back left.
Hi, Ron Kreutzig from the San Francisco Chronicle. Excuse the provincial question a bit, but Tara Vanderveer down at Stanford is the all-time women's winningest coach, I think 45 behind you. Curious if you've had any interactions with her and what you think about her career and the possibility of her potentially passing you in the next couple of years.
Yeah, well, I don't really, congratulations. I know her, I've known her for years. She's one of the outstanding coaches in the world. Don't separate men and women. She's one of the outstanding and strategists in the world. So, but the number of games can never be Yeah, I mean, that can't be what you'd think of. I don't, that would be really a bad thing. And, but, you know, she's terrific, and Stanford's been very lucky to have her for all these years.
We'll go to Dana in the back.
Dana O'Neill with The Athletic. For those of us maybe who aren't as good as you are at compartmentalizing things,
I'm going to do a master class on that.
Excellent. Well, I'll sign
this
up.
spring.
How, though? Seriously, I mean, because many of us faced in a public situation like this, and even in your own mind, it's my last this, is it my last? How do you function through that and not get lost in it?
Well, you know, I've been fortunate to be on a very public stage for a long, long time. And in my young days, I had great training at the United States Military Academy, and then 5 years as a military officer to focus on the job at hand. And that's your orders, that's your mission. Like, it's not about the battle you won, it's about the battle you're going to fight. And then when it's over, there's going to be another battle. And so I used, and it's probably an old thing, I don't know, no rear view mirror, you know, in your car. You never look back. And that's why I have a hard time remembering, like someone will say, do you remember that game that you played? I said, no, I don't remember it. Why, what good would that do? You know, it would not help me right now unless some lesson that I learned in it helped me change the way we coach. And I can, you know, there are a lot of things I cannot do, but I can do the compartment, whatever thing that you just said. It's like so many syllables. It's not in my vocabulary, but.
We'll go to David on the left.
Hey, Mike. David Thompson, USA Today Network. Wendell mentioned today that he likes to meditate. He does his breathing exercises before his free throws. How have you seen him mentally mature in the last 3 years, and does that have a trickle-down effect on the rest of the team?
Yeah, it definitely does have a huge impact because he's our leader. And to see him so composed in those pressure situations and come through is it's big. I mean, those free throws, it makes it a lot easier maybe to make a move or take a shot because we put some points on the board. And, for Wendell, he's still very young too. He was that 18-year-old freshman. So he's just 20. And on this team, he's the veteran. He's the old guy. And I think he's absolutely had a fabulous year for us. Not just in stats, but in leadership and in developing. These guys have been really close. They're a very close team. And I've never had one attitude problem or where you're trying to figure out how do we bond them or whatever. And, Wendell has been the guy who's helped in that regard.
Got time for 2 more questions. We'll go to Jason up front.
Jason Dumas, Crown 4 News. Mike, I know it's not top of mind, obviously. This is a business trip for you guys, but this is the first time that San Francisco is hosting an NCAA tournament since 1939, I believe,
Wow.
which was the first NCAA tournament. Haven't been here long, but what do you think of the venue, and what do you think of just, I guess, the hoops culture out here in the Bay Area in general?
Well, I'm very familiar with the hoops culture. With Coach Newell and the old AAU teams from here. This is a lot of people in the East do not realize that this is a strong, deep-rooted love of basketball area as there is. 50 years ago, I spent in 71 and 72 a lot of time here. When I was in the Army, I was able to try out and make the all-Army teams we lived in barracks at the Presidio. Hal Fisher, one of the great coaches, coached the team. And so I was out here at least 4 different times for 6-week periods, and then we would go and play in the World Military Olympics, either in Iran, Syria. And so I know this area well. Heck, when we practiced yesterday at San Francisco, we practiced there. Bobby Giron, who passed, used to help run that place. So it's conjured up a lot of the great memories. But also, I try to tell my guys, this area loves basketball. And not just the Warriors. It's deep rooted. And then in their gym at San Francisco, they have three national championships. So at the end of practice, I brought them together. Okay, 55, 56, who's the best player? And they all yelled out Bill Russell. So I was actually a little surprised. I was ready to kind of dig in on them, but they knew it. And no, I love this area. It really is part of the foundation of me becoming a coach. Playing and then helping Coach Fisher a little bit when we went on these tours.
We'll go to our last question on the right.
Casey Hens from WREL in Raleigh. Coach, you've talked a lot this last week about defense, connecting on defense, the communication, and I was going through our archives back in 1986. There was a clip of you and some great footage of your guys, you talking about the guys slapping the floor when they get back on defense. I'm just wondering if there's anything that maybe we don't see that you've used to get the guys' attention when they get back, maybe in critical moments on defense.
Well, that's been an old thing, and probably Wojo took it to the highest level. We really don't talk about it that much with this team as much as just playing good defense. And we've been a really good defensive team. After we won the regular season, the next 4 games, Carolina and the 3 in the ACC tournament, we were not very good defensively. And but then we had 4 days of practice, and I think we're back to playing better and closer to the level that we were playing at before. And we're going to have to play really good defense against them. I mean, they have their two leading scorers are their 2 big men, and they're not conventional big men. O'Banner, he shoots the most threes. Williams is, if it wasn't. He could have been Big 12 Player of the Year. He's that good. So they're going to be very difficult to defend, and they're going to be very difficult to score against. I guess adding those 2 up equals they're going to be very difficult to beat. And so if we're going to try to, I think we'll be ready, and I think it's going to be a heck of a game.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you all.